So is today going to be the stall day? Maybe. I was thought yesterday was going to be, but it certainly was not. Um, well, kind of thought, well, if it, well, the plan was if it took out that high, we should think long, and if it took out that low, we should think pullback. Not really short, not in this time frame anyway. And so we do the same thing, moving up with the same thought, meaning above the high, we should think long, and below the low, we should think pullback. In this case, now would be to this minor support area. That would be the normal retracement. Or it could just be an inside day. Right? So, this high is about in the same area. We could trade an inside day, or, this little move up here from yesterday. That's fine. Okay. And so here is today's data. Why is it? I'm thinking, why isn't the gray like it usually is? It's because the ES is a 24-hour, so it doesn't color that way. But there it is. Right there it is. So there's the little inside day. Now, normal analysis that we go through, where would it pull back to? Well, looking at this time frame, there's no support because it went straight up, so it's a momentum move higher. We then can cross beyond what's directly to the left. It would be here. This is give or take. Well, there'd be some support here where these bars overlap if we went down to a smaller time frame. So this is where it's stabilizing. So this looks like a normal retracement within this move up, and we've got a couple of bars here testing that area. And so this looks like if it could get through here, it should go up. Right? That's the look. Now, when we look at a pattern like this, and here we're looking at a intraday, obviously, a 60-minute chart and a daily chart. And this would be applicable if this was a daily chart and this was a weekly chart, if we were looking at that. Meaning, if I saw this pattern and it said, hey, this setup here came out of a base and it went up, and this is a normal retracement, and we had this retest here, and if it gets through here, this should continue to go up. Well, let's look at the next higher time frame and say, well, if I put this in the context of this, what is the odds of this going up significantly? And we'll kind of use a little common sense with that. And, it could go up some ridiculous amount. Of course, crazy things happen, but we look under normal situations where we say, okay, here's a consolidation and 4 or 5 days, and here's a consolidation. It was a breakout kind of failure, and sometimes they go up more, but this went up a normal amount. So looking at this pattern in the context of this higher time frame, if this was to move up from here and then take out the high, it would be a normal assumption that it probably wouldn't go up a lot, right? Could it be the same as yesterday? I suppose, but you're starting from here. So let's clean this up a minute. If we start and say, okay, here is yesterday's range, and here's yesterday's range, whatever the size of that is, looks like give or take 20 points, eyeballing it. This one looks like it's a little bit more, and this one looks like it's probably about 20 points. So if we say, okay, 20-point range looks like, give or take, would be a normal. We're starting from here, the bottom, and we project that up, say 20 points, and we'd say, well, maybe it could get up to 29.20. I think that makes sense. So we'd have a green bar that started inside the prior day's range, and the move from where it's at here to up there, 29.20, give or take, would be my bullish view on today, getting up to there. Getting beyond that would be out of the norm. It could do it. Would continue to lead to the view that this market is getting ahead of itself. And then we'd look and see what the wrong way guys were doing, the sentiment. which had not gotten to an extreme on the moving average yesterday, which was interesting, and neither was breadth. So that does suggest that this market still has gas in the tank to go higher, but some kind of a rest would be productive to support that versus blow off kind of price action. All right. Let's look at the Qs. They're down 16.5 points. And here we can see the range got bigger. Right? It's larger than these two. That was the rest day. And yesterday I thought, well, this would be great if it pulled back a little and popped back up. And we'd have a great continuation pattern today. Well, that didn't happen. Buyers just came in and it went up, continued to go up. Now, you see the big wide range bar. Right? We know wide range bars are a bunch of little bars that go straight up in a smaller time frame. And there you have it. So now there's a void, which opens the door to a big pullback if buyers don't continue to step up. Now, we don't assume that they're not going to step up, but what we look for is it to create support. What does that mean? Well, it could be doing it right here, where it holds that area and goes sideways throughout the day. It might pull back a little further, maybe. So you've got this topping tail right here. Let's just say it pulls back into this area, and then it pivots, right? And then it retests, and then maybe it can get going. But based on this chart, I don't think it's going to get going a lot today. We've got a wide range bar, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days up. I've seen stuff go up 12 days, but it's not your everyday type of event. So we look for, everyday type of event, type of patterns, and then retracements. And this looks like the type of pattern where prices should pull back or rest a little bit. Wide range bar. We spoke about that in the MT Live show yesterday. So this suggests an ending move, and ending moves don't mean collapse. They mean rest or retracement. So we'll see what happens here throughout the trading day. And Dow was down a little bit. Didn't have such a big day, but it led on the way up here. And now, you can see it's at the bottom of yesterday's range. Question is, does it stay there? And does it break below? Because now we've got a trading range here. Still in an uptrend, but there's a void below. So buyers need to hold it here, or it opens up the door to a significant retracement. Now, that significant retracement, wouldn't necessarily violate anything. When I say significant, it's relative to, this intraday chart. As far as the daily chart goes, just looking a little bit further here as to old stuff. 25.88. It's right there. That would be pretty deep to come down there. Well, we can see that's where the support is, 25.882. 882. All right, that's close enough. It would be almost down to the bottom of the wide range bar. Now, getting down there would not be a positive. However, if by the end of the day, that was a bottoming tail bar, one of the things that I said yesterday in the show was about the wide range bars in the chart we were looking at. I don't remember what it was. I said, as long as the candle bodies stay near the top, because you can get tails going deep, but as long as buyers stay up and the candle bodies stay at the top or near the top of the range, let's say the upper 50%, it's good, right? Because if thinking about that, what are you really seeing? think about it on a closing basis. It went up, pulled back a little, and it went sideways. And all of this stuff, right, we talked about this last week. These tails, while they do give us messages, what's really the most relevant, right, is, I'm not drawing this exactly right, but you get what I mean. Right? If you connect the closes, that was a deep retracement. But here, and I talked about this last week where we talked about these tails, but I said if you just look at this on a closing basis, it's just a bullish pullback, right? What could be considered as a bull flag, right? Which is nothing more than this and a downward sloping retracement, and then it went up. So if today was, hey, this goes down here, but by the end of the day, there's a tail, and the candle body's up here, that could actually be something that could launch the Dow going higher. So there's thoughts for patterns. And of course, the opposite of that would be a big red bar closing down here, right? And we all know what that would mean. Doesn't need explanation. All right. Bonds are up 12 ticks. All right, they pulled back here. They stopped there yesterday. And yesterday's comments, I said, if bonds start to move up, financials are not going to like that so much. Not like they got damaged badly, but now that they're pushing up here, right, financials are still, well, they broke out, but let's take a look at them. They were consolidating at the top of the range. They still look okay. And really not doing anything here, which is a positive. They're showing some relative strength against something that would make them have some weakness. So that's a positive for these financials. If they can hold up here, well, bonds have a retracement. And the question here is, how far do they retrace? Does this turn into a topping tail, which would go lower, and then financials should break out and take off from there. If they hold on here and turn down, well, then it would maybe be tomorrow, which would be fine. If they rip up into this area here, well, at that point, it's very likely that this breakout would turn into a breakout failure. So we have to see what happens there. And oil continues to push up. And as we know, energy did this shakeout whipsaw, and it's rebuilding here, and it's got a little work to do into this resistance area here, but that's a positive, what that did. And I want to see what that looks like on a weekly chart. All right, so it's a shakeout. I don't really get much different message here. It broke down and it came back up, and it needs to do some work here at this resistance. And gold stalled out there. Right? No biggie. We'll see what it does. We talked about yesterday the dollar getting weaker, and that is what helped gold bounce besides the accelerated move that it had here. Now it's into resistance, and the depth of retracement here was a positive for gold, that it was able to retrace that far. There was a red bar ignored. I explained last week that this kind of a sell setup is a low probability sell setup. After prices have been trending like that and accelerate lower, they typically fail. This one did. And now so far it's acting bullishly at resistance. If the dollar continues to weaken, that's going to help gold do better. The euro is down a little bit here, which means the dollar is up a little bit. But the move in that euro was pretty powerful, big, deep retracement up into this resistance area. So see how that shakes out over time. And what else here? The transports. There. We went through those stocks yesterday, and there was really nothing of much interest. And they're just marking time there. I think that's right under the all-time high. Yeah, right. It's right there. There's the all-time high. So it's just stalled right there. So that looks pretty bullish so far, just going sideways there. And the Russell, it's down a little bit this morning, but it's consolidating up near all-time high. So that's bullish. So the theme here is market is still bullish. It still looks like it can go higher. It needs a little bit of a rest. Does it rest or does it keep going and exhaust itself? We prefer the resting and then continuation because that's more sustainable. We'll see how it happens. There you go, Dan.
Just like a hiker going up the mountain, are you going to exhaust yourself or rest?
And you know what? As you said that, I keep saying I love these shows on Netflix that are, documentaries or educational.
Right.
And there's one on there that's called The Fittest Man in the World. And this is the guy that won these training things that people do, that they're like superhuman people that do these, workouts that are unreal. Anyway, he won it, I don't know how many times, but he said he trained every single day. And part of his strategy was, yes, my muscles hurt, this, and I keep going. And when they would have these events that would last like, I don't know, a week, whatever, 5 days, he said by Sunday, everybody was in pain and tired. And it was like, that's when I start pushing. Wow. It was amazing. It was an amazing guy, and everything he did. And just, he was the fittest man in the world. You should watch it.
All right, cool.